Welcome to Vibes of India. I'm Janvi. Well, Gujarat elections are just around the corner, and to keep you updated with the political drama going on in the state, we have started a special segment called Bole, Chhe Gujarat 2022. This is the second episode of this special segment, and today we are going to discuss about BJP in Gujarat. We have with us the founder of Vibes of India, Deepal Trivedi. And to start with, what do you have to say about the political campaign of BJP in Gujarat?
Okay, BJP has launched its campaign. BJP is very particular about whatever work it does. So even the campaign launch has been very smooth.
Yeah.
In fact, BJP was much ahead of Congress and Aam Aadmi Party when it came to launching its election campaign. And unlike other parties, BJP is focusing on what good it has been doing for Gujarat.
Yeah.
And the BJP campaign is just about highlighting how, under the visionary leadership of now Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, Gujarat has made some very good strides in various segments. So the Gujarat BJP campaign is very impactful.
Yeah. And it is said in Gujarat that when nothing works in the state, Modi works. Do you think that the charisma and leadership of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi is essential to win Gujarat Elections 2022?
It is not essential because Gujarat as such, as we have seen since last so many years, is inclined towards voting for BJP. So I would not say that Mr. Modi's, is essential, right? Of course, he is the most towering personality, and it is jocularly said EVM that everyone votes for Modi in Gujarat. So yes, Mr. Modi is very much on the mind of every voter who casts or wants to cast her or his vote for the BJP. But to say that Mr. Modi is needed for the BJP to win, I think would be undermining the leadership and the work that Mr. Modi has done in Gujarat. It's still very much there in public memory. So Mr. Modi does not need to remind Gujarat, right? Gujarat remembers it.
But still, he keeps on coming to Gujarat. And on his last visit, it was at Banas Dairy, where he inaugurated a couple of projects. But here, what do you have to say about the way BJP mobilizes and uses cooperative societies to get their vote share?
See, in a democracy, elections are very crucial. Even cooperatives have their own election pattern. After Mr. Amit Shah, our Union Home Minister, also took charge of the Ministry of Cooperatives, there was a mandate that if it's a BJP person in a particular cooperative, they have to vote as per the party mandate. This was the first time this step was taken, because in the past, even like the biggest cooperative of the world, which is Amul, right, was there, and this is during when Congress was in power. So, but still, the people who were
in power,
these were Congress MLAs who did not side with Congress during cooperative elections. But now things have drastically changed. So there is mobilization of cooperatives by different political parties, because there are still cooperatives which are under or run by Congress supporters, or there are banks. But since BJP has in the last year and a half, BJP has been able to have more than 300 cooperatives under their umbrella. And with this new mandate of cooperatives or cooperative leaders belonging to BJP having to vote for BJP. The BJP is mobilizing. And you earlier mentioned about Prime Minister Modi visiting Gujarat. See, this shows how serious the BJP is.
How disciplined, organized the party is.
You nailed it. See, because BJP is very serious. Even if it's a municipality election or a nagarpalika election, BJP shows the same seriousness. Often people outside Gujarat do not realize it, but BJP has been like this since at least since 2001. When BJP has taken every election with utmost seriousness. So it is not surprising that Prime Minister Modi chooses to visit Gujarat frequently.
And recently, the portfolios of cabinet ministers Rajendra Trivedi and Purnesh Modi were taken away, saying that they were inefficient. What do you have to say about this? Like, is the government really trying to, cover up by giving portfolios to other ministers, or like what do you think on this step of BJP?
Yes, recently two cabinet ministers in Gujarat, they were stripped off of their portfolios. One was the revenue portfolio, and the other one was roads and buildings. Right now, in both these cases, see, it's the BJP as such is going to have maximum number of seats in Gujarat, right? So it is just our second episode. But we are very clear that whatever happens, BJP is going to have maximum number of seats in Gujarat.
Irrespective of
all other parties or even the Aam Aadmi Party getting into fray with utmost seriousness. And the Congress not bad when it comes to ground level workers in Gujarat, especially rural and tier 3 cities. But BJP prevails. Right? So this stripping off of portfolios of these two senior cabinet ministers, the BJP, why did it do it? See, because BJP is bothered about its perception, its image. So unlike what happened in the past government, that is, I'm talking of the past BJP government only, which was led by Vijay Rupani. Right? Corruption had become a very major issue, which compelled the BJP High Command not just to replace Vijay Rupani, but to replace the entire cabinet. This was the first time in the history of India that the entire cabinet was replaced, and it was a very smooth replacement. In this case, there are only two portfolios, right? And there have been complaints about, I would not just say inefficiency on part of ministers. There had been complaints of corruption as well, because last night one of the personal assistants, Premal Modi, has been nabbed by CBI. Right? He was associated with one of these ministers based in Vadodara in Gujarat. And was he was known for his largening and doing work on commission, and promising people that he would get things done and files moved in the corridors of power in Gujarat. So I think it is the people of Gujarat take this very positively, the stripping of portfolios, because the general impression is that Prime Minister Modi still has a soft corner for his home state of Gujarat. And he obviously does not want any hunky-dory stuff happening in his home state, number one. Number two, when Prime Minister Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, the general perception is that he was totally non-corrupt, the administration and governance was very smooth. So the present government also is trying to walk the same talk.
But it has seen time and again that what the current government would do is, like, when people are inefficient, say during COVID, the whole cabinet was changed, new people were brought in, and now again the same thing. There is only changes in the faces, but on the ground level, on the organization level, nothing changes. Like, do we assume that when the revenue portfolio is given to other ministers, there will be no corruption, or do we assume that when the roads portfolio is given to another minister, the roads will be just fine? I mean, do you think that these are just changes in the faces which the government does?
See, but then these were the faces which indulged in some wrongs, right? So it was imperative that these faces are replaced by someone.
Yeah.
So, like, I would not agree when you say that if things won't change, if faces are removed, because in this case, the faces were problems.
Okay.
Right? So, if a malignancy
It's done
is
by
on
a person.
So, it's the person. So,
Yeah.
that person has to be removed.
Yeah. And another strategic decision that the government has taken is also about bringing the old seasoned players back, be it Nitin Patel or Vijay Rupani. Do you think that now BJP is finally realizing that they do need these players to win Gujarat Elections 2022?
Like, I'm surprised at your question because these people were always there. It's not that they were not there and they've been roped in recently. They were very much there. And unlike other political parties, right?
You don't need a designation maybe to work in BJP?
It's their commitment towards the party. Even if they're stripped off as from the position as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, I can bet upon it that Mr. Rupani would be okay to even contest an election as a corporator in Rajkot. Right? This is not to undermine a person, but this is to highlight how the BJP is conditioned. Like, with the BJP leaders always say that they do not believe in individual worship, and for them, the party is bigger than an individual.
This is in the DNA of all party members, and I think that's the strength
especially
of the
the senior ones, I would say, who come after years of toiling, of years of groundwork in the past. So they have this, that they are more focused on the party rather than, nurturing any self-interest.
True. At this current moment, what do you think is the biggest challenge for BJP in Gujarat, despite the fact that this is the home ground of BJP?
Okay. If you would want me to say that Aam Aadmi Party is the biggest challenge for the BJP in Bole, Gujarat 2022, I would say that yes, BJP has a very proactive approach when it comes to any opposition, and especially when Aam Aadmi Party is so much on the ground and proving itself to be a very formidable opposition. But as such, I think BJP does not face any major challenges. But then, as you know, in politics, things can change within 24 hours or 24 seconds or 24 nanoseconds for that matter.
So we cannot
say it as a final and, some sort of a foolproof sentence of that BJP has no challenges. As of now, I don't see the BJP in Gujarat facing any challenges. It's very secure as a party, as a government, as an organization. And that, does that mean that there are no issues? Then I would say no. There is unemployment, there is a soaring price rise. There are several issues which bothers the common person. But because of lack of any strong opposition, the BJP sits in a very comfortable position, and though the Aam Aadmi Party has started, doing some concrete ground level work, I don't think so far it has upset the BJP's apple cart
as much. But recently, when Arvind Kejriwal was in Gujarat, he openly stated that BJP is terrified of Aam Aadmi Party. But do you think that Aam Aadmi Party in any way is going to cut in the seats that BJP might secure?
I would not say that the Aam Aadmi Party would just dent into the BJP vote bank. It may even dent into the Congress vote bank. And if we look at Aam Aadmi Party's record, Aam Aadmi Party started working very concretely in Punjab from say 2015. But in 2017 elections, Aam Aadmi Party had only 17 seats in Punjab. Right? And then in 2022, they formed their government. They got 88 plus seats. So this is a beginning for Aam Aadmi Party. So
they have a long way to go and work.
A long way. So when Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the statement you said, if I have to repeat that, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal said that
BJP is terrified of
Aam Aadmi Party. maybe I would not use the word terrified, but I would say that the BJP has taken very strong notice about the growing clout of Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat, and that is why there's so much happening at this point of time for Gujarat elections. Because Gujarat elections 2022, this is for the first time in several decades that there are more political parties in fray, rather than BJP and Congress. Traditionally, Gujarat has opted for a two-party system only, where there are just two parties in fray. It's either this or that. But now we see Aam Aadmi Party. We see even Mr. Owaisi's visits have increased considerably. So the Muslim vote.
And the latest party by Shankar C.
Waghela. Shankar C. Waghela also, like, I admire his, his, I don't know what word to use, but I would say I admire his guts. He's 80 plus.
And openly saying about liquor also, like allowing liquor in Gujarat if the party comes to power.
Yeah, but then we know that his party is not going to get into power.
Definitely.
But let us see if Shankar C. Waghela, has a truce with either of the former parties, whether he has been with, whether it's the BJP or Congress. And Mr. Waghela, I don't know if he'll play a proactive role in the government, next government that is formed in Gujarat. So there are lots of players
true.
This time.
But currently, while BJP is paying attention to at least Aam Aadmi Party, do you think it is considering Congress as inconsequential? Like, it's not making any noise, it's not on ground currently?
Congress in Gujarat is in a very peculiar position. I am really amazed by the workers that the party has. But I have no love lost for any of the party leaders who I feel has failed the party cadre. Right? The Congress leaders in Gujarat are very self-serving.
They're not organized, maybe there's too much of conflicts going on in the party.
Yeah, intra-party conflict is a major issue that the Congress faces, but their workers are people. We cannot, ignore them. Like, even in Ahmedabad, look at people like Dr. Manish Doshi. There are hundreds of them, or hundreds of Dr. Manish Doshis across Gujarat who have not seen power since 1995. Congress, since 1990, Congress has not been in the position to form a government on its own, with a slight exception in 1997 when they supported the Rashtriya Janata Party led by Shankar C. Waghela and gave outside support to the government. The Congress has not been in power since 1994. So what would motivate a person to be with the Congress is a question.
True.
But still there are hundreds of workers and that is pretty commendable.
What do you have to say, like any concluding remarks on BJP in Gujarat?
BJP in Gujarat is very secure. In fact, this is one state, it's a traditional bastion of the BJP. It remains very strong, it's unshakable, BJP in Gujarat. And, they're not even, though they are so secure, they don't live in this misconception that they are not replaceable. They believe, they seem to believe that they are irreplaceable. So they are in a spirit to fight back and give a very befitting and a very strong fight to whatever the size of the opposition is.
True. Thank you for your answers, and for more such discussions, for more such interviews, keep watching our special segment Bole, Chhe, Gujarat 2022. Thank you.